Hello students, here is Ashu Gupta, Assistant Professor. Again welcomes you all on the behalf of the Indraprasth Law College. Although we have already discussed the various topics in detail in the previous lectures, you may see it and take benefit from this. So now let's open the today's box and see that what is the important topic of today's lecture, that is the validity of international law. You may see on the screen also the today's topic about the validity of international law. So that is a question which is compulsory to know about the international law and what is its validity. So let's start and understand the concept of these things regarding this subject. So there has been a lot of speculation on the topic. Basically, also we have already discussed about whether international law is really law or not. Analytical positivists like Austin and Holland denied the validity of international law. And Austin called international law as mere positive morality, which is priorly discussed in the previous lecture by me, or law by Kersey. He refused to concede the level of law to international law because it did not qualify as law in the strict sense of the term. Austin's approach to international law was colored by his theory of law in general. Austin defined laws as general commands emanating from a sovereign authority, violations of which are punished by the state. And according to the Austinian theory of law, the emphasis is on three essential features, that is general commands, a sovereign, second one is a sovereign, the first one is general command, the second one is a sovereign, and the last third one is sanctions or punishments for violation of commands. Basically, applying these three features of international law, Austin found that none of these conditions was fulfilled by international law. Taking up the first condition, we find that principles of international law are not in the form of commands but are in the nature of customary rules, which have grown up on the basis of common consent of the member states. So the first feature of Austin's definition is missing in international law. If we talk about the second feature, that is a sovereign, so it is found that there is no sovereign body above the nations to lay down the principles of international law. In fact, international law is based upon the principle of sovereignty and equality of member states. You can say that absence of a sovereign political authority over the nation states was a direct negation of Austin's dogma. No sovereign, no law. That calls that no sovereign, no law. Just like a simple words. Hence, Austin's second important condition, the necessity of a sovereign, could not be fulfilled by the international law. Now we talk about the third conditions, that is sanctions or punishments. So we find that there are no sanctions or punishments prescribed for a nation's violation of the principles of international law. Nor is there any superior authority in the international sphere comparable to the courts in the national legal nations or systems to exercise compulsory jurisdiction over the nations and to inflict punishments upon the erring nations. If we may sum up these three things, it is found that international law is not in the nature of commands issued by any sovereign authority, none, and no punishment is prescribed for its violation. Since none of the three essentials Austinian conditions could be fulfilled by the international law, and Austin declared that it is not law in the strict sense of the term. It is not law properly so called, and clubbed it along with the positive morality under the heading laws improperly so called. So Austin says that it is the laws improperly so called. And Holland, following Austin, went one step further and declared that international law is the vanishing point of the jurisprudence. That is the basic important question of today's lecture. What is the international law? Validity of international law. And sometimes in your exam paper the question belongs to international law is the vanishing point of the jurisprudence, in the words of Holland. So we will discuss about the Holland in the next lecture. International law is the vanishing point of the jurisprudence. Today we have discussed about the Austinian theory regarding the validity of the international law. Hope you will have been enjoyed the whole session and successfully enumerated it into your study and be benefited from this presentation. Thank you. We will meet soon again with a new session and covers the Holland verdicts in the next lecture about the vanishing point of the jurisprudence. So thank you very much. Be safe and stay at home.